Okay, in this workshop we're going to be talking about applying a finish to your project. So we have a number of different projects, and we have a paddle and a spoon and a bowl, feast tray, this type of thing. And you can, if you want, not put a finish on it at all, or you can actually apply a finish to the wood surface so that it protects it. And the reason why we use finishing products like this, is to actually protect the artwork that you just created. So there's actually two types of finish that we have, and there's only two categories. There's a surface finish where you'll find these types of products, varathane or polyurethylene, or a mini wax, an actual wax that you can put on, or you can use a penetrating oil, which is like this Danish Watco Danish oil. When it comes to finishing our products, or when it comes to finishing our projects, really it depends on what you want to use. They all work really well, and you get different results out of each of them. So when it comes to sort of this one here, the polyurethylene type of products, they're really meant for going on the surface of a piece. And what it is actually it's like a liquid plastic, and it will give you a little bit of a top finish to it as well. So they come in different types of glosses. You can get a matte, you can get a satin, you can get a medium gloss, or you can go for a high gloss. For the projects that we have here and the projects I do outside of this, doing my own art, I like the satin finish. The mattes, well, matte, it's like if you think about flat black paint, same kind of idea. It gives you a flat surface to look at. The satin gives you a little bit of sheen, but it's not really glossy, and that's the kind of product that I liked here. And the other one that you can do is you can use some of these like this, the Danish oil. This is a natural finish Danish oil. It's a penetrating oil, so once you brush it on, it's actually going to soak into the fibers and the pores of that project that you have. And with it, it protects it out throughout. A really nice finish. You can use, say, a Danish oil and a wax over top of it if you want to get a little bit more of a shine to your project. These ones, again, are satin finish. When we're applying them, you can just apply them on with a foam brush, a bristle brush, a soft rag. It doesn't really matter. I find these ones that you find at craft stores, the foam brushes, or hardware stores, you're gonna find that you can buy a pack of 20 of them at a time, all different sizes. And what you want to do with any one of these is put it into a different container than what you have here. You might find that these have been opened and they have bits of pieces into it, or they've dried on the edges. There's a lot of pieces in there. If you put it into a nice clear cup like so, you'll be able to put it in there and kind of control what's going on to your piece. So with these, like Danish oil, what I'll do is I'll brush them onto the project. Say your canoe bowl, for instance. I'll put the oil all over the project. I'll let it soak for about 10 minutes, come back, put another coat on, and let it sit for 10 minutes. And after that, I'll come back with some shop type cloth, kind of a non-linting shop type cloth like this, like blue cloth, and then wipe off all the excess, put aside, let it dry. Anytime that you're using any of these products, read the instructions before you apply it onto any of your projects. One of the main things that you'll find, especially with the oil-based products that I have here, with the exception of this one, which is water-based, will obviously give off a fume. So you want a well-ventilated area to work in, have windows open nearby, or a fan that's able to suck that out and discharge it outside. You don't want to be working in a room that's closed up with these fumes going. And that's just a part of the reading the fine print on the back of any of these labels of directions on how to use it. They'll give you all the directions on how you want to apply it, use it. There are a number of videos online that you can look at, and other resources that you can look for on how to do it. So this is what we're going to do. So we have water-based varathane, we have a polyurethylane by Minwax, we have a varathane, which is a satin type of finish. All these products that I'm putting on here don't have a color to them. They're all natural finishes. So the beauty of the wood will come through on any of your products. Do read the label when you're purchasing them. I have seen products or projects that have been colored accidentally when using, especially something like the Danish oil. They have different tints and hues and that kind of thing. And this one in particular, didn't see the label on the very bottom where it actually tells you the type of stain that's going on to it. It was a really nice dark walnut stain is what it did, and it painted on the project. And once when these penetrating oils get into your project or your wood project, it's almost impossible to take them off. These ones are a little bit easier to take off if you want to refinish it or something like that. Just because they're more surface, they don't really penetrate the wood as much as you want it to. When it comes to applying the finish, you will want to be able to get to the point with your project where you have sanded it up right up to the 220 grit sandpaper. And actually that sanding, what we'll do is it will fill all the pores in there as well, and you'll come up with a nice smooth finish. So that's what we're going to do right now. If you have a few projects all lined up, you can do them all at once, put them aside, let them sit for the 24 hours. You can reapply after the time. Again, you're going to read the instructions on the back about reapplying these products to already finished surfaces. And these are the products I use for all my art projects, depending on what I want to use them for or what the product is. My favorite really is the Watco finishing oil. It's penetrating. It's really protects all the wood through and through. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so here we are. We have our projects in front of us. We've got the oil in a different container. I've got a foam brush here that I'm going to use. And I also have a spare stick here for leaning up the projects against. You don't want them laying right on the surface because when it dries it might stick and you'll have a piece of paper sitting on your project. I put brown paper down on my workbench just so I don't mess up my workbench itself. And what you'll need to make sure all the surfaces that you're working on are clean. Make sure you've taken off any pencil marks that might be left over, and that you've sanded and finished all the projects that you've been working on so diligently are nice and clean. For the purposes of these workshops, I've kept all these projects without any sort of crest designs or painted designs. Really, that's up to the local artists that you're going to be working with. If they want a design painted on there or something, then they'll be able to use it. The other finish that we didn't talk about is actually just leaving it plain and having the paints that you have available. There's a whole bunch of different type of acrylic paint. I use acrylic paints when I'm working on the projects of these size. You can get them at any kind of art and craft store if you want. There's like a Delta Cream Coat. There's Americana paints. And then if you want to go for professional grade, I use a local one in Vancouver. It's called Chroma Paints. And they have an online catalog that has an amazing amount of different colors. You can even create a custom color if you want. I'm sure they'll be able to mix it up for you. So these are different types of paints that we use. They're all really matte finished. You'll see the red that I have on top of this, the top of this little canoe bowl. Just a matte finish. And you can leave it just like this, just leave it plain if you wish. Because for me, they're art pieces. I want to protect them because people like to pick them up and take a really good look at what you're working on. And it leaves little fingerprints along the way, which I'm not a big fan of. So I'll use this Danish oil, and I will use a foam brush, and again making sure that all the surfaces are nice and clean of any kind of pencil marks, and you're happy with your final design if you painted one on there. And all you're going to do is just brush it on with this with a foam brush. You're going to get into every little corner that you can possibly see, and work your way around the whole project, so that you've covered every surface of it, including the acrylic paint that we've put on here. And you'll put a nice liberal amount of Danish oil on there, just so that you can see that nice grain coming up. And over time, you'll find that most of these pieces that you've worked with the yellow cedar is actually going to go a nice, really dark amber color over time. Takes a while, a number of years, but you'll find that it looks really quite nice. I might suggest using gloves if you have some gloves. I've run out of my latex gloves, but you can certainly use latex gloves to apply this finish to, just because it does get pretty messy, pretty stinky. But otherwise I'll just use this blue cloth. So it goes on really quite easily, quite nicely. And then I'll lean it up against the piece of wood that I have here, just so that it doesn't stick. You can see this big wet part here, so it doesn't stick. And then I'll just go on to the next project, which is this feast spoon that we've created in one of our workshops. And again, you're just going to apply it with a foam brush all the way around. Make sure you cover all the surfaces. And then again, it's a little bit easier to use latex gloves with, but that's okay. We'll just use this blue cloth just for the purposes of creating what we've created. Again, we'll just put that up against the piece here. And what we're doing is we're putting it on to the projects that we have here. We're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get back to doing another coat. So that's what we'll do from here. What I did fail to mention as well, I flipped all the projects over so that the other surface can actually soak in as well, just as much as the top side. So we'll just let those sit for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and wipe off the excess, and that should be it. Okay, we're just about to get back at it. It's been about 10 minutes. The water, or the oil, you can see in some of these projects is really starting to penetrate nicely and soak into the wood's fiber. We'll put on another coat. We'll wait another 10 minutes, and then after that we'll wipe whatever excess oil is sitting on the surface, and then we'll just let it dry for the next 24 hours. Okay, so we're at the end. We've let it soak now for 10 minutes. They're looking good, and what I'm going to do now is just pick them up and just rub off all the excess oil that might be on there, and then we'll just let it dry overnight. Come back to see how they look tomorrow, and if it needs a little bit more oil, then we'll do that. But these are shaping up to be pretty good.